So, Jen, what are you making today, and why did
Today,
you pick?
I'm going to make matzo brei pizza. So matzo brei is a traditional dish made during Passover using matzah. Typically, it's like crushed up matzah with some egg in it and you soften the matzah with water. But you don't really need the egg to hold it together at all. You could use vegan egg product. But I've done it just with getting it soggy in water and then frying it in the pan. And then the reason why I'm making this is it was a traditional thing my mom would make. My mom passed away in 2007, so I always try to find ways to honor her or think about her. So every year for Passover, I make a veganized version of pizza matzo brei. So what she would do is she would usually people just fry up the matzah, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to fry it and it's going to turn into the shape of the pan, like a circle, and then you then plop it on a baking sheet, and then you can put like your sauce and toppings and cheese on all of that. Um, and so what I usually put vegan cheese on it, but there's ingredients in it. I wanted to make a version that would be acceptable for however anyone practices observing Passover, because there's various dietary restrictions
Mm,
that some people follow and some people don't. So I wanted to make one that would be acceptable across the board, and then people can just modify it however they want to do that. So I made a cashew cheese sauce, but
mm,
I omitted the nutritional yeast because that wouldn't be accepted in like the typical Passover restrictions. And it still tasted creamy and good. And then the other thing I wanted to add is I can't eat tomatoes. Like I have an allergic reaction to them. I'm technically not allergic. I've been checked by a doctor. I react to them. So I make beet ketchup, beet sauce. Like make my own versions of tomatoey ingredients, but using beets. So I made my own sauce that I'm going to put on top. So it's a little bit about what I'm making. What are you making, and did you choose it?
So before we do that, I've got another question for you.
Yeah.
What makes nutritional yeast not okay for Passover?
So that's a good question. So typically, a lot of things that are used in bread baking, like leavening agents,
Mm,
and so like flour and yeast aren't typically used. I have to fully look at, because I don't think nutritional yeast is the same as the baking yeast, but when I was just looking up what, is nutritional yeast considered kosher for Passover, I was reading no. So it must fall into a category of some of those restrictions. I don't follow all of those types of things to the T. But for this recipe, I wanted to make sure I made a version of it that would be suitable for everyone watching.
nice. Cool. So for me, I don't celebrate Easter, and like we've done Easter in the past with my family, and now mostly when Easter comes around, I'm with JP's family, my husband, for the viewers who don't know. And so I've never cooked for Easter, and I know that traditionally there's things like lamb and
Mhm.
ham served, and just on Wednesday, one of my cats passed away. So I definitely
Mm.
did not have the energy or the interest to be trying to figure out how to make a lamb or a ham out of like Satan or whatever. So I kind of thought about, well, what's kind of a more general kind of thing that's associated with Easter? And I thought about Reese's peanut butter eggs. I used
Mm.
to love them
Mm.
before, in my pre-vegetarian days and my vegetarian days, they were my favorite. And I was convinced that the egg shape tasted better than the peanut butter cups.
I
So,
agree with you on this. They
right?
did taste better. I used
So
to love the chocolate peanut butter eggs too.
so good. So when I was thinking about what's kind of an easy thing that could be fun and not require too much of a mental load right now. And I decided to make some vegan chocolate peanut butter eggs. And I found the recipe from It Doesn't Taste Like Chicken. So
Oh,
we'll make
nice.
sure to link that. I didn't even have time to think of my own recipe. So I'm borrowing from Sam, and we'll definitely link the recipe in the notes.
Great. Sounds delicious. I feel like that's a great recipe because who doesn't like chocolate peanut butter eggs?
Right? It's like the greatest combo ever.
Unless you have a peanut allergy, which then you could always use sunflower butter or something like I've had sunflower butter peanut butter cups,
So good.
and
Yeah.
they're also delicious. So I'm sure, it's an easy swap, which even makes it better to make your own.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't want to use nuts, like you said, sunflower butter, if you just don't like peanuts or the peanut is the only nut you're allergic to, cashew butter or almond butter would work just as well.
Nice, awesome. A lot of matzahs typically are vegan. They're usually just like flour and water. There are egg matzahs out there too, so you just want to look out. And this brand, Stripes, actually says that it's vegan on here too.
Right.
So extra bonus to them.
Mhm.
So I took some no salt added. These are sodium free matzahs. I'm always trying to cut salt wherever I can. So I figured I'd rather put some salt in the like sauce and other stuff and save that way. My mom would always season the crust. So she would always take onion powder, garlic powder, and like Italian seasoning and season the crust when frying it just to give it more flavor too. So
Yeah.
I don't know how many. I'm just gonna start breaking matzahs. So
Nice.
I'm gonna start. Here's four. It might be thick. I'm trying to think when I've done it before. It might be about eight. I think I'm going to do eight matzahs
Okay.
to make this fry. So I'm going to start doing that.
All
What are
right.
you up to, Kimberly?
Well, first, I want to make a comment about one of the ingredients that you use in this recipe for the peanut butter peanut butter eggs, and that is confectioner sugar. So,
Ah, yes.
as vegans, right, we so often have to keep an eye out on sugar that could be processed with bone char. We want to make sure that we avoid that. And the nice thing is, at least here on the East Coast, I have to look up on the West Coast so we can make some notes in the show notes about that. But in the East Coast, Domino sugar
Mhm.
has a version. I think maybe all of Domino on the East Coast is vegan, but the
Really?
one, if you check the label, and this applies to regular sugar too, like granulated sugar. When you look at the label, if it tells you that it was made in Florida, West Palm,
Uh-huh.
Florida, and this one also West Palm Beach, Florida, then those are processed without bone char. And Domino as a company has confirmed that.
Wow, that's really good to
Yeah.
know. Because that is such a confusing, and that was like one of those things I learned a little bit later at like as you once you become vegan and you handle all the basics, then you start learning all about the
Mhm.
other sneaky things.
Yep.
um and I believe because I've read that like organic sugar doesn't do the bone char process. Is that correct?
I think so, because I've seen people say, well, I just buy organic sugar, but I would still look into it just in
Oh
case. I mean,
yeah,
if
because
sugar is brown instead of white, then yeah, it's not processed with bone char because the reason why sugar is white typically is because it's processed with bone char.
bone char, yeah.
So if it's brown, then probably not.
And the fact that they can make it white sugar without using bone char, why wouldn't they just do that?
Exactly. And I forgot to, I did a little mise en place and now it's a mess, but I want to see if my camera will find it, and it is not. Come on.
Like your countertop. I remember when you picked those out.
Thank you. Yeah, we love it. Can you see the mise en place?
Yes, I can. It can
Okay.
pan a little bit more towards the sugar. There we go. Now I can see the
Okay.
sugar more.
Yeah.
Very
So
nice.
these are all the ingredients. This is it for the peanut butter eggs. So not bad, right?
Not bad at all. I just crunched up 8 matzahs,
Okay.
and now I have some water already measured, so I'm just going to just holding it up. I'm just pouring, I poured all the water in there. It's 2 cups of water. Um, and I'm just gonna let that soak for a bit. I have used it. I have used some flax egg before with like
Mhm.
flaxseed to
Yeah.
hold it together, but some people may or may not feel comfortable using that. So I figured let me just make it where everybody would be comfortable. So
Mhm.
it's the matzo's absorbing the water and it's getting soggy, which is what you want. Um, and I'm gonna drain this soon. I'm just gonna let it get soft. And I also preheated the oven to 350. Now, with cheese that melts, you would
Mhm.
melt it like a pizza. Even though I'm not melting any cheese, I figured it'd still be good to pop it in the oven for like 10 minutes after putting everything on just to so we're gonna try that. And I also have some fresh basil to sprinkle on top too, because I feel like that adds more flavor to things too. You can't go wrong with fresh basil.
You are right about that. Yeah. So what I've done is I mix the peanut, well, I put the peanut butter, the confectioner sugar, salt, and vanilla extract into a bowl, and then I've just got to kind of mix it up until, whoops. Confectioner sugar is like, it's like working with flour, right? If you're not careful, it's gonna fly all over the place.
Usually it does fly all over the place when I
Yeah.
use
Yep.
it.
My shirt is already getting stuff on it.
Yeah, like whenever I've used it, I always get ones that are like certified vegan. And it's good to know about Domino's,
Hmm.
because that's certainly makes things easier
Yeah, you can get them
sometimes.
at every grocery store, right? You don't have
Right.
to worry
I'm just
about.
gonna drain some of the excess water in my sink that's behind the camera here.
Well, here's my peanut butter mix.
Ooh, that looks good.
Yeah.
I would eat that right out of the bowl.
Yeah, and I've got some on my finger, so I'm gonna do just that.
I think you should. I'm just gonna sprinkle a little garlic powder, onion powder, and Italian seasoning. Um, Also, I'm gonna grab a little. I forgot to have it over here. Some salt and pepper. So I'm just gonna go behind here and get that. I love using pink sea salt.
Mm.
I heard that there's like extra. There's some kind of extra health benefit in it. I always forget what it is,
Oh, okay.
but there's something in the pink salt. The magnesium, maybe?
Oh, maybe.
So I'm gonna now put a little olive oil in the frying pan. So usually I don't cook with oil, but there are times I do use oil because
Hmm.
sometimes I just want tasty things that have oil in
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. Stop zooming in on my face. I want you to look at the peanut butter eggs. My camera is not cooperating.
Ah,
Yeah, it's worried about what my face is doing and less about the peanut butter.
well, your face is lovely, but it should also show the peanut butter eggs.
Really, right? Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna get this pan. You want a really hot pan
Yeah.
when doing this. Um, so now the matza's like really, really mushy now. Like it's had a chance to get really soft and mushy. And it's when you fry it in the oil, and like when I put it in the pan, I'm gonna smush it down in, and it's going to fry into the shape of the pan and make it into a circle. So you're just rolling them into the shape of an egg, and
Yeah.
then that's
Yeah.
cool. And then you don't even need any like fancy molds for that.
No, no. I mean, they definitely are not really looking like egg shapes. So maybe if you have a fancy mold for it and want it to be perfect, but I'm just kind of shaping it and hoping for the best. And then the nice thing is like these, we don't cook them or anything. You just freeze them for anywhere from a half hour to overnight. And then you melt some chocolate and you dip it in the frozen, and you got to take them out one at a time from the freezer so that they don't start to defrost while you're working
Oh,
on
that's a good point.
others. Yeah, and then you dip it in the melted chocolate, and then once that's frozen, you could even take some melted chocolate again and kind of drizzle over it and take some flaky salt or some fleur de sel and sprinkle that on top and give it kind of like a little extra salty boost.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah.
And this is like a fun thing you could even make in advance and store in your refrigerator.
Yep.
You know, you could do it like a week or two before Easter rolls around and then you have them. Could probably even put like colored sprinkles on there too, I would think.
Oh yeah, that
Make
would
it
be
like
super
fun.
fun. Yeah. Yeah, if you've got like some more natural color like food dyes, you might even be able to get some vegan white chocolate, which I have never found in the grocery store, but you probably could find it online.
Yeah.
Just like some vegan white chocolate and like dye that.
I have found a brand of vegan white chocolate chips and
Ooh,
I melted them to do like Oreo truffles
yeah.
and it was very runny. So I
Oh,
ended up having to just melt chocolate chips and then I
okay.
drizzled, made like a white drizzle on there.
Yeah.
My pan's really hot now, so I'm going to put this mixture on. I probably should have grabbed a spatula.
And I realized I should have made some room in the freezer.
First, gonna grab a wooden spoon and I'm just pressing down the mixture into the pot. It's sticking to my spoon, so I'm gonna put a little oil on the spoon.
Smart. That's a good trick that I learned by accident because I was making, I can't remember, but I had used the same measuring cup
Uh-huh.
first for oil, then for maple syrup, and then for something else. And the maple syrup just slid right out because the oil had been the first thing I put in that measuring cup. And so it didn't get all sticky. And you can do that with peanut butter too, and it just slides right out.
That's a good
Tahini,
trick because that is such a pain.
yeah. I like tahini too, because that one gets stuck on me the most.
Oh yeah, I make a lot of I make a lot of lemon tahini dressing all the time. And so that is a pain for me.
Yeah. So here are my eggs, my peanut butter eggs.
Cute.
It only made five. The recipe said nine, so maybe I made them too big,
But
but
it's your recipe, so that's the beauty. When you make your own, you can make them as because who wants a small peanut butter egg? I'd rather have a big.
that's you're speaking my language, girl. So I'm gonna put these in the freezer and set
Very
aside.
nice. And I have, whoops, as you can see, I have this matzah pushed down in the pan and it's just frying and it's taking the shape.
All right.
So this is always the fun part coming up soon. After it fries on one side, I have to flip it on the plate and then flip it around and put it in the.
I can't wait for this part. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I don't do it. I've never done it on camera before, so
No pressure.
no. And then today I got a pizza pan
Ooh.
that when I was grocery shopping today, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna put a little oil on it for when I'm ready to bake it."
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So
one
one of
of the things. Oh, sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
One of the things in this recipe that she calls out is to make sure that you're using natural peanut butter.
Oh,
So
okay.
I love this one because there is literally one ingredient and it is peanuts. Um, but because you don't want it to be too sweet,
Mhm.
and processed peanut butter also because it has so much sugar and oils and all kinds of added stuff, it's not going to form in the same way and the texture, I think she said, would be way too dry. So just make
Oh,
sure
okay.
to pick up some peanut butter that's just peanuts.
That's good to know. And yeah, you can always make things sweet on your own. Like I like to use natural peanut butter, and I'll use like maple syrup to
Yeah.
like sweeten
Mhm.
it and things. And to me, it tastes a million times better.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna make another batch while we're just hanging out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this is almost, let's see, is it ready to flip? Almost. We're almost ready. I'm just adding a little more oil to the pan here, either side, just putting it underneath. I think I'm gonna have to flip this now. This is the scary part.
We
I
believe
also
in
dropped my
you.
pepper on the floor before, so I better pick that up. Okay, so seeing my camera here. So I have a plate, and I'm gonna put it here. Oh my God, I'm like so nervous. It's like fun and also the scary part. And then I'm
Yeah.
doing this,
Uh-huh.
and
Perfect.
look how it cooked on the top.
That's so cool.
And so now I'm just gonna slide. Oh, it came out good. Look at that.
Nice.
And so now I'm just cooking the other side.
Okay.
We survived that. Um, so now I'm just pressing it down with the spatula. Um, do we have a quick moment so I could talk about how I veganize a seder plate?
Yeah, please do.
You know, you were talking about how like Easter has like traditional foods like lamb and ham,
Hmm.
which are very sad for
Yeah.
us vegans to have to be around. So Passover has also like some non-vegan components to it. So here's my seder plate that I have. And one of the traditional items is an egg.
Mm.
And so for the seder plate, I put an avocado pit
Okay.
for the egg part. And then you serve hard-boiled eggs during the seder. And what I do is you see these little baby potatoes.
Oh yeah.
I will either roast them in the oven or I'll steam them. And I serve the steamed baby potatoes instead. You could even put, and if you don't, you can even put the baby potato for the egg on the seder plate as well. But I eat a lot of avocados. I always have an avocado pit. So I figure why not put the pit there? And then I serve the baby potatoes. The
Okay.
other part is a shank bone that is a bone that represents the sacrifice aspect of Passover. I'm not very good at explaining
You're doing a fine
all the
job, aren't
religious
we?
stuff, so I'm going to do it on a very basic, like I
Yeah,
know things, but I'm not good at explaining it. Do you know what I mean, Kimberly?
I do. But like I said, I'm learning, so keep going.
All right, cool. So instead of using like people usually put like a burnt bone, they're like a chicken
Mm.
bone or something.
Yeah.
You can use a beet. So, because that's like, it looks like blood. It
Oh,
has
yeah.
that same symbolism, but it's a plant, an innocent, happy, non-suffering
Yes.
plant. And so I put that there. And then the rest of the items that are traditionally are, vegan, like bitter herbs, what's traditionally used is like horseradish.
Okay.
Karoset is a dish that's supposed to represent the mortar that was used to hold the bricks together and for the pyramids, because it's the whole story of Passover is when the Jews broke free from slavery. So that kind of represents the cement. So
Okay.
that's made with apples, walnuts, cinnamon, and grape juice or wine traditionally. And then you put some lettuce and parsley that are all symbolic pieces. So with just a couple of simple swaps, you can, just swap. You can still have the symbolic components of
Yeah.
Passover, but without any animal pieces
Mm-hmm.
or parts or whatever.
Love that. Oh, that's so great. Because I would bet there are a lot of people, um, even if they've been vegan for a long time, who are going to really benefit from this because maybe they haven't tried to veganize a Seder plate before and they just feel like they have to kind of be with this Seder plate that their family is preparing.
Yeah, it's true. And I think, like when I first became vegan, it was kind of like, oh my God, what do I do with some of these traditions? And if we go to someone's house, obviously it's whatever they have on their table. But a lot of the time we just, if we're doing it at home for ourselves,
Mhm.
then if I'm making it, then I'm doing it that way.
Yeah.
And I found it by doing a Google search. And I don't know if it was on PETA. I think it was a website though that if you Google vegan Seder plate, that's where I realized, oh, it's possible. So what I'm gonna do is I just finished my pizza crust. So here it
Mhm.
is done. It didn't take long to cook, maybe
Ooh,
10 minutes to cook that.
yeah.
So this is my sauce I made earlier.
Oh, the beet tomato, like the beet
Yeah, it's like
tomato.
a marinara sauce. Now listen, if tomatoes don't bother you, then make your own tomato sauce, use a jarred sauce. You know, do whatever you want to make it your own.
Yeah. Okay.
This is I sauteed peppers, onions, mushrooms, some fresh garlic. And then I tossed it. Then I made my beet ketchup, which is a can of no salt added beets, a tablespoon, and I drain that and I put it in a blender, and it's a tablespoon of maple syrup, a
Mhm.
tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, like a teaspoon of onion powder. If I just do ketchup, but since I was making a sauce for the pizza, I also added a teaspoon of garlic to it and blended that all up. And then I mixed it in with the sauteed peppers, onions, and mushrooms. And then I chopped up some fresh um, basil and mixed that all in here. So that's what's in this sauce.
Okay.
So I have some leftover sauce. I wasn't sure. I just made a big batch.
Yeah.
So I will probably use this on pasta during the week. So here is the sauce that's on the pizza.
Ooh. I like how chunky it is.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. And my mom, when she made it, and my friends used to love this recipe. My non-Jewish friends would come over, during Passover, and my mom would make this, and they all loved it.
Mhm.
So here's the cashew cheese sauce minus the nutritional yeast.
Mhm.
Um, and then if you wanted to use, and you don't even have to just make this for Passover. It's a pretty tasty recipe, all year round.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just drizzling on. Oh, this is hot. I need a. There we go. Here it is. I'm just drizzling on the cheese like this.
Nice.
So I'm going to continue doing that. I also spilled some water over on the other counter, so I have to go wipe that up for a second. I
Oops.
always somehow make a mess.
Me too.
How are your peanut butter eggs coming along?
Yeah, so I don't know. I think my peanut butter, because I keep my peanut butter in the fridge even before we open it. A trick that JP discovered is that with the natural peanut butter, you know how it separates, right? And there's always the oil on the top from the peanuts.
Yeah.
If when you get it home, you shake the jar
Uh-huh.
upside down, then it
Oh.
kind of mixes and it doesn't have just the oil on top.
Oh,
So
that's a good trick because that is such a pain with the oil.
yes. Yeah, because you and like I don't know about you, but since you've mentioned that you can be pretty messy in the kitchen, and I can, when I stick a butter knife into the jar to stir it around, if that oil is super separated, it's getting on me. It's gonna splash on my shirt, it's gonna splash on the counter,
That would
and
be me.
yeah, now like the peanut butter is gonna be super dry, and I've made a mess. So JP figured this out. I don't know how, if he saw it online or just like his genius. But he started doing it and now the peanut butter is always perfect. So the first batch, the peanut butter had just come out of the fridge. With
Mhm.
this second batch, the peanut butter's been out for a little while, so it's a little runnier. And so
Mhm.
I've added um, more confectioner's sugar, is that's kind of the trick, is if they're too wet, you want to add more, and they are still because they're sticky to me. You want to add some more sugar. And then if they're too dry, then you want to add some more peanut butter to wet them up again.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what? It does it's one of those recipes, it sounds like there's no right or wrong. It's just
Yeah,
making it, having fun, and it's still gonna taste really good.
exactly.
While you're doing that, I'm just gonna grab some fresh basil.
Nice.
Okay. Well, basil cooks quickly in the oven, doesn't it?
Basil what?
Basil cooks quickly in the oven, right? Like would it burn?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should put it on at the end. That's what I'll do.
Yes. Yep.
So I'm gonna put this pizza that I made.
Hmm.
Here it is with the
Ooh,
cheese
lovely.
sauce on. Oops, let me just wipe some that dripped on here. The one. I've never made it this way. I've always just done it with cheese that's melted and then took it out when. So I'm just gonna do like 10 minutes. That's usually, I mean, the crust is already cooked, the vegetables are already cooked.
Right.
So I feel like 10 minutes is enough time. And then I'm gonna sprinkle on some fresh basil.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah. Anytime with the fresh herbs, you always want to add them, whether in the oven or on your stove top, right? At the last like minute or two. And sometimes if you're like putting it in a soup, if it's herbs, you can even add it once you've turned the heat off. The soup is still very hot, and then you
Yeah,
can mix in those fresh herbs and they don't get like overcooked. And in the oven, they don't burn if you put them in the last couple of minutes. But
yeah, makes
fried
sense.
seasoning, right? Those can go in right away so that they
What's
have
that? What was the
uh,
last thing you said could go in right away?
the like dried seasoning, so like
Oh,
dried,
yeah, yeah, the dried
yeah,
ones, yeah.
so that they can absorb and let all the flavors release.
I grew some fresh basil last summer, and
Ooh,
I'm think I'm gonna have to do the same thing, and some cilantro. It was like the best. Because you know what happens? I don't know, does this happen to you, Kimberly, or anyone else who's watching? I'll buy fresh herbs and I have such great ideas for them, and then they die in the fridge.
yeah.
So I use cilantro and basil a lot. So yeah, so I just it was nice having it just on my deck and then just running out and snipping some as I needed it for the summer.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the smart way to do it if you can, for sure. Because yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a little package of basil in there because I made that hummus pasta I'd sent you a photo of.
Yeah, it looks so
That
good.
again, and it was so good, but it really, when you're making a dish that's so few ingredients like that, where it's just like the hummus, some tomatoes, garlic, and then basil, um, you really want to make sure you're using like good quality stuff.
Yeah.
And the first two times I made it, I went to a different, like an organic supermarket, and I got these really gorgeous, even though it's only March, really gorgeous tomatoes. And they were really flavorful. And then the last time I made it, I got my regular grape tomatoes from the local grocery store, and the acidity was through the roof. They weren't sweet.
Oh.
Yeah, so it kind of tanked the dish. And now I'm thinking, I'm just gonna wait because New Jersey, like tomatoes in the height of the summer are so good. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going to wait and make it again then. But yeah, so now that basil, I've got to come up with something else to do with it before it liquefies in the fridge.
Pesto?
I don't know if I have enough for pesto, but
Mm,
maybe. I do like pesto.
me too. Well, if it's a great substitute for me on pizza because I can't put tomato sauce on it.
Right.
So sometimes I'll make a batch of pesto and then I'll put on some Violife mozzarella. What's your favorite
Mhm.
brand of vegan cheese, Kimberly?
I love chow, which is made by Field Roast.
Oh
That,
yeah, their cheese is pretty good. I've had it a
yeah,
couple times.
yeah. we can always find that in the grocery store, even the local one, not just the organic market. And then I'd say follow your heart is my second favorite.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Nice. Those are good. Yeah, I've seen those around a couple times. I usually see Violife a lot and Dia.
mhm.
I used to get Dia a lot, and then I discovered how good Violife was.
It's been a while since you've tried Daya though. They changed the formula and
Yeah, I
now
tried it last year for the first time in like a couple years, and it was pretty good.
it's better. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is better. Um, but yeah, I did like it, and it melted really nicely. But yeah, there's something about the Violife I really like. So shout
Yeah.
out to them.
And to chow and
And to
follow your heart.
Chow.
The chow Gouda slices are really good too. I
Ooh,
love those. I did not eat Gouda cheese when I was pre-vegan, but I eat it now because it's so good. Made
ooh,
with that. Yeah.
nice. I always wanted to try Rebel cheese. Everyone keeps raving
I
about
know. Yeah.
Rebel cheese. There's a cheese shop not far from me that carries some of their products.
Okay.
So I'm just waiting for like an opportunity because if I me we're not going to eat all that cheese like because
Yeah.
they have the brie and I heard the brie tastes like real brie, but like
Okay.
it's something I would get if like having like company over or something.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. There's a cheese, it's not, it's a, I almost said there's a cheese shop. It's not a cheese shop. It's a vegan shop called Feasty Vegan, run
ooh
by Kendra Arnold in Morristown, New Jersey. And she has Rebel cheese and a bunch of other really cool stuff. Morristown's not super close for me, so I don't really make it there very often. But when I find an excuse, so yeah, maybe when I'm having company, oh, maybe when you come over, we
ooh
can JP and I can go to Feasty Vegan ahead of time and get some of that cheese. And then we can
oh
try.
good excuse to try it, right?
Exactly. It's like we're having company who will appreciate it. Let's go get the fancy cheese.
Yes.
I like
Good
it.
stuff. Yeah, it's good to know where all the good things are. I think too, like when you're vegan and you know where the good things are, you have no problem driving
Yeah.
for certain things. So the pizza just beeped. Let's see how it looks. Ooh, you know what? I think this looks pretty good. The baking in the oven for 10 minutes made the cheese less runny and kind of set it on there. And it kind of browned a little bit. So I
It's
think we're done there.
very cool.
Let me
I've got
turn this
5
off.
minutes left on freezing my eggs.
What I'm gonna do, just going to wash this fresh basil I have.
Okay. I need to melt some chocolate.
So I'm just garnishing with some fresh basil. Oh, that is hot. You don't touch a pan when it comes out of the
Solid advice.
Where are my other oven mitts? Oh, you know what? I bought a cooking mitt a long time ago.
Hmm.
It says, "Welcome to my cooking show." I think now's the time to use it. It's
Yes.
probably gonna get stained up bad though, but
And you throw it in the wash.
knowing me. But uh here is the pizza with the basil on it.
Lovely.
I'm gonna get a nice shot of it with my phone.
I'm gonna start melting chocolate. And I'm gonna do it very slowly because you don't want to burn the chocolate. And I'm doing it in the microwave to show that it's easy. You don't need to do a double boiler or create any of that mess.
I do it in the microwave also. I usually do it for a minute first, and then I mix it with like a spoon, and then if it needs like an additional like 10-second increments, because it can burn fast.
Yeah.
How
Interesting.
how how long do you cook it for?
I just started at 15 seconds. So when
Oh,
when you
okay.
were saying a minute, I was like, oh, that's so brave.
Yeah, if it's like a big amount, I've done it for like a minute and it's been fine. And um
Oh, your
usually it's fine.
bowl is gonna get so hot. So Make sure I've got my trusty mitts. Usually I buy Enjoy Life because it's like free of all of the top allergens and stuff. So there's like nothing in it. It's just like chocolate.
I like Enjoy Life. It's expensive, but it
It
is
is.
the best one to get.
Yeah, but we went to the regular grocery store this morning and they were sold out, which I love, right? That's the weird thing about being vegan, right? All your favorite stuff, you like want it to be there, but when it's not, you're like, cool, that means other people are buying it and people
Yeah.
want vegan options. But that meant that I had to get Ghirardelli, and this was the only one. I mean, it's really good. This
That
was the
looks really
only
good.
one that didn't have milk in it. They used to make like their semi-sweet used to be free of milk as well, but not anymore. So
Oh.
the 72% cacao was the best option. All right. Well, there's my first one.
All right, looks
Camera
good.
was, thought the camera was zoomed out. So again, it wants to focus on my face. All right, next one. Oh, okay. Now stay.
Now I see it. Yeah.
So I'm just like throwing it in, putting some chocolate around it.
And this would be like a fun activity to do with kids too.
Oh yeah, talk about making
And
fun.
like we were talking about before, with like the rainbow sprinkles, like getting, finding some vegan sprinkles.
Yeah,
Um, you can have egg decorating that way, and no animals were harmed.
that's an excellent point. The one in the freezer, the first one I did, looks so pretty as the chocolate is starting to freeze.
And how long are you gonna chill it for? Like 10 minutes?
Probably, yeah. And then I can take it off the parchment and then put it in a container to keep in the fridge.
Nice. Is it starting to like set?
Yeah. Oh, these are gonna be so decadent.
They look really good.
Yeah.
I wish we could like pass food through
I
this.
know, that'd be amazing. How is technology not able to do that yet?
Yeah, I don't know. Like in Star Trek, you could beam things up and
Exactly. Just beam me food, Jen.
yeah, I like that idea.
Me too. I'm gonna take my things out of the freezer now.
Oh, great.
All right. Okay.
Ooh, those look good. We should do a shot where we're like holding our things at the same
Oh
time.
yeah, we definitely should. I'm gonna put them on a plate so they're a bit more
Okay.
presentable.
Oh my God, I want to like eat them. They look like really tasty chocolate peanut butter blobs.
Yeah, they definitely look like blobs. The chocolate is like, because it was hardening already. And then let's see.
I would be eating those little crumbs too.
Mhm. A little bit of salt on them.
What are you sprinkling on there? Salt?
Yeah. Yep. Finishing salt.
Very nice.
Yeah. I'm just gonna take a quick photo.
As you should.
Oh, look at how gorgeous you are, even though you're a mess.
It's a gorgeous mess.
Yeah. All right. We ready?
Yeah. Ta-da!
Oh, hold on.
Maybe hold one of them up off the plate.
Okay, that's very smart. And it will be this one because this one is the most beautiful.
I'm gonna put my thumb here so it doesn't like slide.
Yeah, smart.